"Cowboy, what's that rattlesnake doing between your legs?" yelled the Apache woman. Wild West story. The sun hung low in the sky, casting long shadows across the dusty plains of the Wild West. The heat of the day still lingered, making the air shimmer over the sand and rocks. Sam, a cowboy with a weathered hat and a tired horse, rode slowly through the open land. He had been traveling for days, moving from one small town to another, searching for work and a place to rest. The vastness of the desert made him feel both free and small at the same time. He had seen a lot in his life, but the West was always full of surprises, and he never let his guard down. Sam had grown used to traveling alone. He liked the quiet and the simplicity of life on the trail. His horse, a strong and steady brown stallion named Dusty, had been with him for years. Dusty knew the trails well, and he seemed to sense when danger was near. Sam trusted his companion completely. Today, however, even Dusty seemed uneasy. His ears twitched constantly, and his head moved from side to side, as if he could hear something Sam could not. In the distance, near a cluster of rocks and sparse desert bushes, Sam noticed movement. At first he thought it might be a coyote or some other wild animal, but as he rode closer he saw the figure of a woman standing among the rocks. She was an Apache woman, tall and strong, with long, dark hair tied back carefully. Her eyes were sharp, and she watched Sam with an intensity that made him feel like he was being measured and studied. He slowed Dusty to a stop, unsure if she was friend or foe. Sam had learned long ago that the West was not always kind to strangers. Many townspeople and travelers had faced trouble from bandits or wild animals, but it was also the Apache people who lived close to the land that made him cautious. He had heard stories of cowboys and settlers coming too close to their villages, and he did not want to make a mistake. He raised his hand slightly to show he meant no harm, but he kept his eyes on her, trying to read her intentions. The woman did not speak at first. She simply stood there, her posture straight and firm. Sam noticed the way she held herself. There was a sense of confidence and awareness in every movement she made. It was clear that she was used to the desert, to the heat and the danger that came with it. Sam had spent years on horseback traveling through deserts and mountains, but he could sense that she knew the land in ways he never would. As he watched her, a sudden sound made him tense. A sharp warning rattle came from beneath a nearby rock. Sam looked down and saw a rattlesnake slowly emerging, its body coiled and ready. The snake's eyes were small and focused, its tongue flicking in and out as it sensed the air. Sam froze, his hand instinctively reaching for the reins. Dusty shifted nervously under him, sensing the danger as well. Before Sam could react further, the Apache woman shouted. Her voice was loud and clear, cutting through the quiet desert air. "Cowboy, watch out! There is a rattlesnake!" Sam's eyes widened as he realized just how close the snake was. It had slithered between his legs, hidden beneath the tall grass and rocks, waiting for the right moment. He could feel the heat of the sun on his back and the sudden fear in his chest. He had faced rattlesnakes before, but there was something different about this moment. The woman's warning had saved him from a serious mistake, and he felt a rush of gratitude. He took a careful step back, raising Dusty slightly to move away from the snake without startling it. The rattlesnake hissed and retreated slightly, but it did not leave entirely. Sam realized that the desert was alive in ways he often forgot. Every rock, every bush, every small movement could hold a hidden danger. He looked at the woman again, noticing her eyes soften slightly as she saw him react safely. For a moment, they just watched each other. Sam tried to speak, but the words caught in his throat. He was not used to being helped, especially not by someone he had never met. The woman, sensing his hesitation, gave a small nod and gestured toward the rocks. She pointed carefully to where the rattlesnake had been hiding, making sure he understood the danger. Sam nodded in return. "Thank you," he said, his voice calm but full of relief. "I didn't see it there." The woman gave a small smile, one that was cautious but friendly. "The desert hides many things," she said in a slow, careful tone. "You must always be careful. Even when you think the path is safe." Sam realized that she spoke the truth. He had been traveling for years thinking he knew the land, but the desert was always teaching lessons in ways he could not predict. The heat, the snakes, the sudden movements of animals, and the quiet patience of those who lived there all demanded respect. He felt a sense of humility in that moment, recognizing that he was a guest in a land that had its own rules. The woman stepped closer, showing no fear of the cowboy or his horse. Sam noticed the confidence in her movements and the careful attention she paid to the surroundings. She was aware of every rock and shadow, every small sound in the desert. It was clear that she had learned to survive in this harsh land, not through luck but through skill and observation. Dusty snorted, and Sam adjusted his grip on the reins. The rattlesnake had disappeared into the rocks, but the tension of the moment lingered. Sam could feel his heart slowing down as he realized how close he had come to danger. He glanced at the woman again, feeling a mixture of respect and curiosity. Who was she, and why was she here, alone, in the desert? The woman, Kaya, finally spoke again. "You are far from your town," she said. "The sun is strong, and the water is scarce. You should not be alone." Sam thought about her words. She was right. The desert could be unforgiving, and he had been traveling without a clear plan. He had counted on his horse and his experience, but he knew now that even the most careful plans could be interrupted by the smallest dangers. "I am looking for work, Sam. And water. The towns are far, and I have been riding for days." Kaya nodded, as if understanding completely. She seemed to weigh whether to help him or not, but her gaze softened. There was a sense of wisdom in her eyes, the kind that comes from living closely with the land and understanding its secrets. Sam decided to trust her. He had learned in his years of wandering that sometimes help could come from unexpected places. The desert was vast, and the people who lived there often had knowledge that could mean the difference between survival and trouble. As they stood together, the sun continued its slow descent, painting the sky with shades of orange and pink. The desert air cooled slightly, and the sounds of distant birds and insects filled the quiet. For Sam, the moment was both peaceful and tense, a reminder that the West was a place of beauty and danger at the same time. He took a deep breath and looked at Kaya. "I am Sam," he said. "And this is Dusty." Kaya gave a small nod. "I am Kaya," she replied. "It is good you are safe." They both knew that this encounter was unusual. Cowboys and Apache women did not often meet on the plains, and when they did, it was usually with caution or conflict. But something in this moment felt different. There was no hostility, only awareness and the shared understanding of survival. As the sun dipped lower, Sam realized that his journey through the desert had just taken an unexpected turn. He had met someone who could teach him about the land, about caution, and about respect. And he felt, deep down, that the rattlesnake had not just been a threat. It had been a warning, a signal that the desert was alive and that he needed to pay attention. Kaya watched him carefully, sensing his thoughts. As she had seen many travelers come and go, and she could tell that Sam was not reckless, only inexperienced in some ways. She decided that she could help him, at least for a short while, to reach water and safety before the desert claimed him through oversight. The of them stood together for a few moments longer, the tension easing slightly, replaced by mutual respect. Dusty shifted under Sam, sensing that the immediate danger had passed, but remaining alert. The desert, vast and silent, seemed to watch them as well, acknowledging the brief but meaningful encounter. Sam knew that the next hours would be crucial. The plains were still dangerous, and the journey to water would not be easy. But he also knew that he was not entirely alone now, and that made all the difference. He gave Dusty a gentle pat and looked at Kaya, ready to follow her guidance, trusting that together they could navigate the challenges of the desert. The rattlesnake might have disappeared, but its warning would remain in Sam's mind forever, a reminder that even in the wide open West, caution, awareness, and respect for life were the keys to survival. Sam followed Kaya carefully as she led the way through the rocky terrain. The sun had begun its slow descent behind the distant hills, casting long shadows across the desert. The heat of the day was still lingering, but the evening promised some relief. Sam kept Dusty steady, letting the horse move at a calm pace. He noticed how Kaya navigated the uneven ground with ease, stepping carefully over rocks and loose sand, her movements confident and precise. He realized that she knew this land in ways he never would. The silence between them was filled only by the soft sound of Dusty's hooves on the dry earth, and the occasional rustle of small animals in the bushes. Sam tried to break the silence. "How far is it to water?" he asked. His voice sounded hoarse from the heat and dust of the day. Kaya glanced at him briefly and then back at the path ahead. "Not too far," she said. "We must move carefully. Water is hidden, but it is there." Sam nodded, trusting her guidance. He had been traveling alone for so long that having someone with knowledge of the land felt strange and reassuring at the same time. He noticed the way Kaya scanned the area constantly, her eyes sharp, taking in every detail. He realized she was not just cautious. She was alert in a way that he had never experienced before. The desert was her home, and she moved through it like she belonged to it, while he was always the outsider. As they continued, Sam began to notice small signs of life he had often overlooked. Tiny lizards darted across the sand, and birds flew low, calling to one another. Kaya pointed out a small cactus with water-rich pulp inside, showing him how to carefully break it open without wasting a drop. Sam listened intently, realizing how little he truly knew about surviving in such a harsh environment. He felt a sense of humility and respect for the land that he had not felt before. The shadows grew longer, and the sky turned shades of pink and orange. Sam could feel the temperature dropping slightly, offering relief after the harsh heat of the afternoon. Kaya led him to a narrow canyon where the walls rose high on both sides. The area was shaded, and small pools of water had collected in natural hollows. Sam's eyes lit up. "This is incredible," he said softly. "I didn't expect to find water here." Kaya nodded. "The desert gives, but you must know where to look. Many travelers do not see it." They dismounted, and Sam let Dusty drink first. The horse eagerly lapped up the water, his strong muscles visible as he bent his head to the pool. Kaya knelt beside another pool, taking care not to disturb the rocks around it. She drank slowly, savoring the cool liquid. Sam noticed how careful she was with every action, understanding that the desert's gifts were precious and not to be wasted. While drinking, Sam thought about their encounter with the rattlesnake earlier. He realized that without Kaya's warning, he might have been hurt. That moment had been more than just a scare. It had been a lesson. He respected her more now, not just for saving him, but for her knowledge of the land and her calm confidence in dangerous situations. After quenching their thirst, Kaya led Sam to a slightly elevated area overlooking the canyon. From there, they could see the vast plains stretching endlessly in all directions. The view was breathtaking. The setting sun cast a golden glow over the sand, turning the landscape into a sea of warm colors. Sam felt a sense of wonder and peace. Even though the desert was harsh, it was also beautiful, and it held secrets that only those who respected it could understand. Kaya spoke quietly. "This land is old. It has seen many people and many stories. You must respect it if you wish to survive." Sam nodded. He felt that he had learned this lesson quickly today. He had been cautious before, but now he understood that respect was as important as caution. The desert demanded both. As they rested, Kaya shared small stories about the land. She spoke of the plants, the animals, and the changes in the seasons. Sam listened closely, realizing that there was a deep connection between the people who lived here and the land itself. Every story she told was filled with knowledge that came from generations of observation and survival. Sam felt lucky to be learning from someone with such wisdom. They set up a small area to rest for the night. Kaya showed him how to make a simple shelter using nearby branches and rocks to protect against wind and small animals. Sam helped, learning quickly and appreciating her patience. The sun had almost disappeared, leaving the sky a deep shade of purple with stars beginning to appear. The desert night was quiet, but alive with soft sounds. An owl in the distance, the rustling of leaves, and the gentle movement of Dusty as he settled down. As the night grew darker, Sam and Kaya sat near the shelter, sharing a simple meal. Sam had brought some bread and dried meat, and Kaya had a small bundle of herbs and roots she had gathered earlier. They ate together quietly, the bond between them growing stronger. Sam realized that trust was forming between them, not because of words, but because of shared experiences and the need to watch each other's back in a land that could be unforgiving. After the meal, Kaya taught Sam how to check for signs of snakes and other animals during the night. She showed him how to notice small disturbances in the sand, the movement of shadows and the sounds that might indicate a nearby creature. Sam listened carefully, realizing that every detail mattered. The desert was full of life, but much of it could be dangerous if ignored. Hours passed, and the desert night deepened. Sam felt a mix of exhaustion and excitement. He was tired from the long day's travel, but he was also eager to learn more about the land and the people who understood it. Kaya seemed equally calm, moving with purpose and confidence as she maintained the small camp. Sam admired her skill and knowledge, realizing that she was a teacher in her own way, guiding him through lessons he had never expected to learn on such a journey. Before sleep, Sam reflected on the day. He had started out cautious, wary of strangers and aware of potential dangers. But by the end of the day, he had learned that sometimes help came from unexpected places. He thought about the rattlesnake again and how quickly Kaya had acted. It was not just her knowledge of the animal, but her calm and decisive action that had kept him safe. Sam felt gratitude and respect. As he drifted to sleep, Sam knew that the desert would continue to teach him lessons. He thought about the journey ahead and the challenges they might face together. Kaya had shown him that survival was about more than strength or experience. It was about awareness, respect, and trust. He felt a quiet sense of confidence knowing that he was not completely alone, and that he had someone to guide him through the next part of the journey. The stars shone brightly overhead, and the desert night was calm. Dusty slept nearby, and Kaya sat silently, watching the horizon. Sam closed his eyes, feeling the cool breeze on his face, and allowed himself to rest. He knew that tomorrow would bring more lessons, more challenges, and more opportunities to understand the land and its people. The rattlesnake had been only the first of many surprises, but he felt ready to face whatever came next, as long as he paid attention, listened, and respected the desert that stretched endlessly before him. The next morning, the desert awoke slowly. The sky was painted with soft hues of orange and pink, and the first birds of the day began to call from the sparse bushes. Sam stretched his tired muscles, feeling the soreness from the long day of riding and walking, but also a sense of purpose. Dusty nickered softly, ready for the day ahead. Kaya had already moved slightly ahead, scanning the horizon for any signs of danger or opportunity. Sam followed her carefully. The canyon had given them a safe night, but the journey ahead was unknown. Kaya's knowledge of the land had already saved him once from the rattlesnake, and Sam realized that he needed to pay close attention if he wanted to continue safely. He admired her confidence, the way she moved lightly over rocks and sand, and how every step seemed purposeful and deliberate. As they traveled, Kaya spoke softly, pointing out small details in the desert that Sam had never noticed before. She showed him how to find edible plants and how to identify which bushes and cacti held water. Sam listened intently, fascinated by her knowledge. "I never knew the desert could teach so much," he said. "It seems so empty, yet you can survive if you know the secrets." Kaya smiled faintly.
"The desert is not empty. It is alive."
"Every rock, every shadow, every small movement can teach you if you watch carefully." Sam nodded. He realized that he had been traveling for years, thinking he knew the West. But this was different. He had always relied on experience, but experience alone was not enough. Respect and attention were just as important. Kaya had a calm confidence that came not from luck, but from understanding the land deeply. As the day grew warmer, they reached a wide plain dotted with low bushes and scattered rocks. Dusty moved slowly, and Sam felt the heat of the sun pressing down on his shoulders. They needed water and shade, and Kaya scanned the horizon for both. After a while, she spotted a small cluster of trees near a bend in the land. "There," she said. "We can rest there and drink before continuing." They moved toward the trees carefully, noticing how the desert seemed to shift with every step. Small animals scurried in the sand, and birds took off suddenly when Dusty passed too close. Sam realized that Kaya's lessons about awareness were proving true. The desert was alive in ways he had never fully appreciated. When they reached the trees, they found a shallow stream trickling through the rocks. Sam dismounted and let Dusty drink first, watching how the horse carefully sipped the water, aware of the movement in the surrounding bushes. Kaya knelt beside the stream, dipping her hands into the cool water and drinking slowly. Sam followed, feeling the refreshment in his body as the water quenched his thirst and cooled him slightly. While resting, Kaya spoke about the land ahead. The plains are open, but the hills beyond are rough. There will be shadows and rocks, and you must watch for hidden animals and snakes. Sam listened carefully. He appreciated her honesty and attention to detail. "I will pay close attention," he said. "You have already saved me once. I don't want to make mistakes again." Kaya nodded. Survival is not about fear. It is about awareness and patience. You must move slowly, watch carefully, and respect the land. After their rest, they continued their journey. The sun climbed higher, and the heat intensified. Sam felt the sweat running down his back, but Kaya seemed unaffected. She led the way confidently, occasionally pointing out small water-rich plants or shaded areas to rest briefly. Sam realized that every step she took was measured, while he sometimes moved too quickly, unaware of hidden dangers. As they climbed a small hill, Sam noticed a shadow moving in the rocks below. He froze, unsure what it could be. Kaya immediately crouched slightly, scanning the area. "A small fox," she said softly, smiling at his alarm. "Not dangerous, but cautious. The desert teaches respect, even for small creatures." Sam laughed quietly, feeling the tension release. He realized that Kaya's knowledge made the desert less threatening, even though it remained wild and unpredictable. He was learning not just to survive, but to understand. Every animal, every plant, and every movement in the sand had meaning. The afternoon passed with more small lessons. Kaya showed him how to move quietly over dry sand without alerting animals. She demonstrated how to spot subtle signs of snakes or scorpions, such as disturbed rocks or small tracks. Sam followed her carefully, practicing patience and observation. He felt a growing respect for Kaya's skill and for the land itself. They paused again near another cluster of rocks, this time to eat a simple meal. Sam had brought some bread and dried meat, and Kaya shared some roots and small fruits she had gathered. They ate together, talking about the land and the stories of those who lived there. Kaya spoke of her tribe, their traditions, and their connection to the desert. Sam listened closely, fascinated by her stories and the depth of her understanding. After their meal, they set out again, moving toward the hills in the distance. The terrain became rougher, with larger rocks and uneven paths. Sam struggled slightly, but Kaya moved with ease, guiding him and Dusty carefully. At one point, Sam stumbled on a loose rock, and Kaya's quick hand steadied him. "Watch your step," she said gently. "The land can be tricky, but it teaches you if you pay attention." As the sun began to dip toward the horizon, they reached a narrow passage between two hills. Shadows stretched across the land, and the air grew cooler. Sam could feel the temperature drop slightly, offering relief after the long, hot day. Kaya led the way, stepping carefully over the rocks and checking for any signs of danger. Suddenly, Sam noticed movement near the rocks. His heart skipped a beat as he saw small rattlesnakes slithering near the base of a boulder. He froze, but Kaya immediately stepped forward, her voice firm and calm. "Do not move," she said. "It is watching, but it will not strike if we remain calm." Sam held his breath, watching the snake. Kaya's presence gave him confidence. He followed her instructions, staying still and quiet. After a few tense moments, the rattlesnake moved away, disappearing into the rocks. Sam exhaled slowly, feeling relief and admiration for Kaya's quick thinking. "That was close," Sam said, his voice low.
I don't think I could have handled that alone, Kaya nodded. The desert is full of lessons.
Sometimes small creatures teach the greatest ones. They continued through the passage, finally reaching a small plateau with a breathtaking view of the plains below. The sun set behind the distant hills, painting the sky in shades of orange, pink, and purple. Sam felt a sense of awe. The desert was harsh and challenging, but moments like this reminded him of its beauty. Kaya pointed out a small shaded area among the rocks. "We can rest here for the night," she said. "It is safe, and the view will not hide danger." Sam dismounted and let Dusty drink from a small puddle nearby. Kaya set up a simple area for rest, arranging rocks and branches to create shelter from the wind. Sam helped, learning from her skill and patience. As the stars began to appear in the night sky, they sat together, sharing a quiet moment of reflection. "Today was more than just travel," Sam said softly. "I learned how much I didn't know. The desert is full of life, and every step matters." Kaya nodded. "Awareness is the first step. Respect is the second. The desert rewards those who listen and watch carefully." They ate a simple meal, and Kaya showed Sam how to make a small fire using dry wood and stones. The flames flickered in the evening breeze, casting shadows across the rocks. Sam felt warmth and comfort, realizing that he was learning not just to survive, but to live with the desert. As the night deepened, Sam reflected on the day's journey. He had learned patience, awareness, and respect. He had faced small dangers, observed life, and grown closer to understanding the land and its people. Kaya had become not just a guide, but a teacher, showing him lessons that went beyond survival. The stars shone brightly overhead, and the desert night was calm. Dusty lay down nearby, and Kaya remained watchful, her eyes scanning the horizon. Sam felt a deep sense of gratitude and trust. He knew that tomorrow would bring more challenges, but he was ready. The desert had taught him well, and Kaya's guidance gave him confidence. For the first time, Sam felt that he was not just passing through the West as a wanderer. He was learning its secrets, understanding its rhythms, and discovering the value of trust, patience, and respect. And he knew that the journey with Kaya was only just beginning. The morning light broke gently over the desert hills, casting a soft glow on the rocks and sand. Sam woke to the sound of Dusty shifting beside him, the horse's quiet nicker breaking the stillness of the early day. Kaya was already awake, sitting quietly on a flat rock, scanning the horizon. Her eyes were sharp, observing the land as if she could read its every secret. Sam felt a growing sense of admiration for her skill and awareness. After a simple breakfast of bread, dried fruit, and a few herbs Kaya had gathered, they prepared to continue their journey. The day promised to be warm, but not as harsh as the previous one, with a gentle breeze offering some relief from the desert heat. Sam felt ready, confident in the lessons he had learned so far, but he also knew that the desert could surprise even the most careful traveler. Kaya led the way toward a narrow valley she knew was rich with small plants and occasional water sources. The terrain became more rugged, with jagged rocks and sandy slopes that required careful navigation. Sam followed, watching Kaya closely, trying to mirror her careful steps and attention to detail. Every loose stone and shadow could hide a small creature or a sudden hazard, and Sam felt the lessons of the previous days guiding his movements. As they moved through the valley, Sam noticed something unusual. A soft rustling came from beneath a pile of rocks ahead. He froze, instinctively reaching for the small walking stick he carried. Kaya immediately crouched, her movement swift and silent. She raised a hand to signal him to stay still. From beneath the rocks, several small rattlesnakes emerged, coiling and moving cautiously. They were not aggressive yet, but their presence was a reminder that the desert was full of hidden dangers. Sam's heart raced, but Kaya's calm demeanor gave him confidence. "Do not panic," she said softly. "They are aware of us, but they will not strike unless we threaten them." Sam nodded, keeping his movements slow and deliberate. He watched as Kaya carefully guided him around the snakes, pointing out the safest path between the rocks. Every step had to be measured, every movement precise. The snakes eventually retreated, disappearing into crevices, and Sam exhaled with relief. He felt a mix of gratitude and admiration for Kaya's skill. "That was close," he whispered. I don't think I could have handled that alone. Kaya smiled faintly. The desert is full of lessons, she said. Even the smallest creatures can teach respect and caution. As they continued through the valley, the sun climbed higher, warming the land and making the rocks almost too hot to touch. Sam adjusted his hat and wiped sweat from his brow, but Kaya moved steadily as if unaffected by the heat. She led him to a small shaded area under a cluster of boulders where they could rest and drink from a hidden stream. The water was cool and refreshing, and Dusty drank eagerly, shaking his mane as he finished. While they rested, Kaya spoke of survival techniques that Sam had never considered. She explained how to read the tracks of small animals to find water or predict the movement of predators. She taught him how to find shade even when it seemed there was none, and how to use the natural landscape to protect themselves from wind or sudden storms. Sam listened intently, absorbing every word. The desert gives to those who watch, Kaya said. It does not punish those who respect it, but it can be unforgiving to the careless. Sam nodded, feeling a deep respect for the land and for Kaya's knowledge. He realized that survival was not just about strength or experience. It was about awareness, patience, and respect. The lessons she taught were not just about avoiding danger, but about understanding life in its most natural and raw form. After their rest, they continued toward the hills in the distance. The terrain became more uneven, with larger boulders and narrow paths that required careful navigation. Sam stumbled a few times, but Kaya was always close, ready to steady him or point out a safer route. The trust between them had grown, not through words alone, but through shared experience and teamwork. As they climbed a particularly steep slope, Sam noticed movement among the rocks nearby. He froze, uncertain what it could be. Kaya immediately crouched, scanning the area. "Rocks can hide many things," she whispered. "Watch carefully." Suddenly a small desert fox darted across their path, disappearing quickly into the shadows. Sam laughed quietly, the tension easing. "It's amazing how the desert is alive," he said. Kaya nodded. "It is easy to forget, but everything has a place here. Even small creatures play a role in the balance of life." They continued upward, and soon they reached a small plateau overlooking the valley below. The view was breathtaking, with the desert stretching endlessly in every direction. Sam felt a sense of awe, realizing how vast and untamed this land was. Kaya pointed out small landmarks, teaching him how to read the landscape for water sources, shelter, and hidden paths. As the sun began its descent, casting long shadows across the valley, Sam noticed a small movement near a rocky outcrop. His heart skipped a beat as he realized it was another rattlesnake, this one slightly larger than the last. He froze, unsure what to do. Kaya stepped forward calmly, signaling him to stay still. She moved with precision, guiding Sam to a safer distance while keeping her eyes on the snake. "It will not strike if we do not threaten it," she said softly. "Move slowly and quietly." Following her instructions, Sam carefully backed away, feeling his heart still racing but trusting Kaya completely. The snake eventually slithered into a crevice, leaving them in peace. Sam exhaled slowly, realizing once again how quickly the desert could turn dangerous. "Thank you," he said quietly. "I would have panicked." Kaya smiled faintly. "Panicking does not help. Awareness and calm do." They set up a small camp on the plateau, using rocks and branches to create a windbreak and a simple shelter. Kaya showed Sam how to make a small fire safely, using dry wood and stones. The flames flickered in the evening breeze, casting shadows across the rocks and sand. Sam felt a sense of comfort, knowing that he had learned so much in just a few days of traveling with her. As night fell, the stars appeared in the sky, brilliant and endless. The desert night was calm, but alive with the sounds of animals moving through the shadows. Sam reflected on the day's events, realizing how much he had learned about survival, caution, and respect. Kaya had taught him more than just how to avoid danger. She had taught him how to understand the land, how to move with it, and how to live with awareness and patience. Before sleep, Kaya spoke again, her voice soft but firm. "Tomorrow we will continue through the hills. They are rocky and uneven, but we will find shelter and water. Remember what you have learned. Watch, move slowly, and respect the land. Sam nodded, feeling a deep sense of gratitude. I will. I have learned so much already. They settled down for the night, Dusty lying nearby, calm and relaxed. The fire's warmth and the cool desert breeze made the night peaceful. Sam closed his eyes, thinking about the rattlesnakes, the fox, and the lessons of the day. He realized that every experience in the desert, whether frightening or simple, was part of a larger lesson. As he drifted to sleep, he felt a sense of connection, not just with Kaya, but with the land itself. The desert was harsh, unpredictable, and sometimes dangerous, but it was also full of life, wisdom, and beauty. He knew that the next day would bring more challenges, but he felt ready. With Kaya's guidance and his growing awareness, he could face whatever came next. The desert night stretched on, calm and quiet. Stars sparkled overhead, and the soft sounds of animals moving in the distance reminded Sam that life existed in every corner of the land. Kaya remained watchful, and Sam felt reassured knowing she was near. Together they had faced dangers, learned lessons, and built trust. Tomorrow, he knew, the journey would continue, and the desert would offer more surprises. But he felt ready not just to survive, but to learn, observe, and respect the land that had already taught him so much. And he knew deep down that the bond between him and Kaya had grown stronger with every step, every lesson, and every shared moment. In the vast and beautiful desert, the morning sun slowly rose over the desert, painting the sky with soft shades of pink and gold. The night had been calm, and Sam felt refreshed despite the long journey behind him. Dusty was already awake, stretching his legs and shaking his mane as he prepared for the day ahead. Kaya stood nearby, scanning the horizon with her usual sharp focus. The morning air was cool, but it promised another warm day in the desert. Sam quickly packed their small camp, careful not to disturb the rocks and natural shelter that had protected them through the night. Kaya moved silently, her motions precise and calm, arranging their supplies and checking the surrounding area for any signs of danger. Sam watched her, impressed by her skill and patience. He realized again how much he had learned in just a few days of traveling with her. They set out toward the distant hills, which marked the edge of the valley and the beginning of a safer, more populated area. Kaya led the way, stepping carefully over rocks and uneven ground. Sam followed, paying close attention to her guidance and trying to mirror her careful movements. Dusty moved steadily, his hooves crunching softly against the sand. As they walked, Kaya spoke about the land ahead. "The hills are rocky, but the trail will lead to a stream," she said. "It is safe to rest there before continuing to the small settlement. There are friendly people there, and you can find food and water." Sam nodded, feeling a mixture of relief and gratitude. The thought of reaching a settlement after days of traveling alone gave him hope. He had faced many challenges in the desert: heat, rough terrain, rattlesnakes, and the unknown. But Kaya's guidance had helped him survive. He realized that the journey had been more than a test of endurance. It had been a lesson in trust, awareness, and respect. The terrain became steeper as they climbed the hills. Rocks shifted underfoot, and small ledges required careful navigation. Sam stumbled once, but Kaya was immediately beside him, steadying him with a gentle hand. "Move slowly," she said. "The desert is patient, but it will test those who rush." Sam followed her advice, taking each step with care. He noticed small changes in the land: shadows moving across rocks, the tracks of small animals, and subtle shifts in the wind. Kaya pointed out these details, teaching him to observe and understand the environment. Sam realized that survival in the desert was not just about strength or speed. It was about knowledge, patience, and attention to detail. After climbing for several hours, they reached a small plateau that overlooked a clear stream below. The water sparkled in the sunlight, a rare and precious sight in the desert. Dusty neighed softly, eager to drink, and Sam smiled. The journey had been difficult, but the reward was worth it. They descended carefully to the stream. Kaya knelt beside the water, cupping it in her hands and drinking slowly. Sam followed, letting the cool water refresh him. Dusty drank deeply, shaking his head as the water ran off his mane. Sam felt a wave of relief and gratitude. The stream represented safety, nourishment, and a moment of peace after the challenges of the journey. As they rested, Kaya spoke about the next steps. "From here, the trail leads to the settlement," she said. "It is not far, but we must remain careful. People live there, but respect must be shown. They will welcome you if you show humility and courtesy." Sam nodded. He felt confident now, not just because they were nearing the settlement, but because he had learned how to move carefully and respectfully through the desert. The lessons Kaya had taught him, awareness, patience, trust, and respect for life, had changed the way he saw the land. They traveled the remaining distance slowly, taking time to notice the small details of the desert. A lizard darted across the sand, a small rabbit hopped between rocks, and birds soared above the hills. Sam realized that the desert was full of life and beauty, even in its harshness. Kaya pointed out some of these signs, explaining how each animal and plant played a role in the balance of life. Finally, after several hours of careful travel, they reached the edge of the settlement. Smoke rose from small chimneys, and the sound of people talking carried faintly on the wind. Sam felt a mix of excitement and nervousness. He had traveled alone for so long that the sight of civilization was almost overwhelming. Gaia stopped at the edge of the settlement, turning to him. "This is where I leave you," she said softly. "You will find shelter, food, and water here. Remember what you have learned. Respect the land, respect the people, and you will be safe." Sam felt a pang of gratitude and sadness. Their journey had been short in terms of days, but long in terms of experience and lessons learned. "Thank you, Kaya," he said sincerely. "I will never forget what you have taught me. I could not have done this without you." Kaya smiled faintly, her eyes reflecting the wisdom of the desert. "The desert teaches many lessons," she said. "You only need to listen. Farewell, Sam." Sam watched as she disappeared into the desert beyond the settlement, her figure blending with the rocks and sand. He felt a sense of loss, but also of deep respect. Kaya had not just guided him through the desert. She had taught him how to move with it, understand it, and live with it. Her lessons would stay with him forever. He turned toward the settlement, Dusty following closely. The people welcomed him warmly, offering water, food, and a place to rest. Sam shared his story briefly, careful to show humility and respect. The settlers listened with interest, and some offered advice for the next part of his journey. Sam felt a sense of belonging he had not experienced in days of traveling alone. As the day passed, Sam reflected on the journey. He thought about the rattlesnake that had appeared between his legs on the first day, and how Kaya's quick action had saved him. He remembered the lessons about observing the land, moving carefully, and respecting the desert and its creatures. Each challenge had been a teacher, each danger a lesson in awareness and patience. He realized that the journey had changed him. He had started as a lone traveler, cautious and wary of strangers, but he ended with trust, respect, and knowledge. He had learned that survival was not just about strength or speed, but about understanding, patience, and the willingness to learn from those who knew the land. In the evening, Sam sat by a small fire outside the settlement, Dusty resting nearby. He watched the stars appear one by one, thinking of Kaya and the lessons she had taught him. He felt a deep sense of gratitude and peace. The desert had been harsh, unpredictable, and full of hidden dangers, but it had also been a place of beauty, learning, and growth. Sam realized that the bond formed between him and Kaya went beyond simple guidance. She had shared her knowledge, patience, and respect for life, teaching him more than he could have learned alone. He promised himself that he would honor these lessons, moving forward with care, awareness, and respect for the land and the people who lived upon it. As the night deepened, Sam felt ready to continue his journey. The desert would always be a place of challenge, but he now carried the skills, knowledge, and wisdom to face it. He had survived the dangers, learned the lessons, and discovered the value of trust, patience, and respect. He looked up at the stars one last time, thinking of Kaya's words. The desert teaches many lessons. You only need to listen. Sam smiled quietly, knowing that he had truly listened. The desert had taught him, Kaya had guided him, and he had learned to walk its paths with care and awareness. With Dusty beside him and the settlement offering safety and comfort, Sam felt a deep sense of accomplishment. He knew that the journey would continue, and the challenges would arise, but he also knew that he was ready. He had faced danger, learned from the land, and discovered the importance of trust and respect. The lessons of the desert would remain with him forever, guiding him on every path he chose to follow. As the night grew still, the desert lay quiet and peaceful. Sam rested, knowing that the journey had changed him, that he had grown wiser, and that he would never forget the lessons he had learned. The rattlesnake, the rocky hills, the hidden streams, and the careful guidance of Kaya had all shaped his journey. And now, with the settlement close by, he could continue forward, carrying the wisdom of the desert with him. The desert was no longer just a challenge or a test. It was a teacher, a guide, and a place of respect and learning. Sam understood this now, and he knew that wherever his travels took him next, the lessons of this journey would always remain in his heart.